I love an underdog. Everyone loves the underdog. Everyone loves a story where somebody was supposed to suck and turned out to be good. You're a walk-on who became the star quarterback. Your team got picked last and you won the league. You left a thriving business to do something on your own and made it work. Like the underdog is that thing is that is that like American story, right? Like that's how we look at this thing. Like came here with nothing, a nickel in his couldn't rub two pennies together, and he founded this business. Like the underdog is fantastic. But one thing I said to Yogi was, as related to the Pac-12, and this is a 49ers discussion, is like I love the underdog too, but I don't think we give enough credit when you are picked to be the number one team or the number one at whatever, and you get whatever, a lot of money and you live up to the contract, or you get drafted high and you live up to the pick, or you get picked to win and you actually win. Like, I don't think we give that enough credit. What it takes to actually get all the hype and then live up to it. What it takes to play every week with a target on your back and then live up to it. Well, this year, you, me, and anybody else said Brandon Aiyuk is going to have a breakout season. And I'll tell you what, Brandon Aiyuk's having the breakout season that everybody thought he was going to have. And I don't think it's getting any attention really to that degree that it did in the preseason and in fall, because everyone just kind of, it was a big story then. He's going to have a breakout year. We were all falling over each other trying to get our take out on Brandon Aiyuk. And it's turned out to be right. The Niners put out this stat. He has 6 or more catches and 80 or more receiving yards in 4 straight games, the longest stretch by a 49er since Tito did it in 2001.
Wow.
He is 17 catches away from setting a new career high for receptions, which, don't forget, he actually was pretty productive as a rookie. He only played in 12 games, but he had 60 catches, right? If he had played in every game as a rookie, he might have caught 80 balls. But Brandon Aiyuk, now I know he had the fumble the other day and the drop in the end zone, but he's been, it feels like, especially the last 3 weeks, their most productive receiver.
Wasn't it Mike Tomlin that said,
yes,
the podcast with McVay, like, everyone thinks that, to be a good coach is to get a C player and make him a B, but he's like, actually, most coaches worth their salt can make a guy overachieve. Can you take your A players and have them sustain playing like A players consistently?
Yep.
And if you think about the Shanahan era, like, they've had some holes, right? And they've had some flaws over the years, but their best players have dominated. And the last year is a great example, right? Is their top players played like stars. And that basically band-aided some of their issues. And you look at it right now, like, there's not some perfect team. I mean, their right tackle, despite what their GM says is a major problem, they're missing defensive tackles. They got but their best players just, like, Debo statistically isn't last year, but to me, he looks every bit as normal as Debo Samuel. Like, he's just at any single moment a play could happen. Obviously, the other cast of characters are all balling. But this guy last year made a step, and it's clear, like, he's a high-end player. I don't know where he ranks. Like, if you did a draft from scratch,
it's tough.
It's a loaded position. He's not going to go in, like, the top 10. But it feels like one of those classic, like, and I'm not comparing him to, like, peak Klay Thompson, but remember, like, back in the day when you, like, ranking players and, like, no one would consider, like, Klay, like, a top 12 player, but it's like, well, if you did a draft from scratch, you get this guy like 22, like, that's an incredible, like, that's what it feels like Aiyuk. Because, one, he's a winning player. Like, I can take him against the best teams and he can ball.
Yeah.
And I just think even the play that he fumbled, and I think you said this on the post-game deal, that it was a little freaky, right? He's turned into a guy, the helmet hits him, and that causes a fumble. Like, Jerry Rice probably fumbles that ball, right? I mean, that's just collision, which is speed. For a smaller player, relative to, like, bigger receivers, he plays pretty big. He's physical, one, when it comes to the, just tackles. Like, he's not a puss. Did you see the montage of Tyler Lockett? Like, he's basically on a mission that every time he catches the ball is to not get tackled. He just hits the ground. It's just a classic, like, and someone just did this montage of he gets wide open, but he never takes hits. But how about Brandon's, and you saw this in camp, but you never truly know, his ability to attack the ball as he's, like, still running. It's one of those, it's a great skill of not having to stop. I don't body catch. I attack the ball as I'm moving, so I just keep on going.
Yeah.
He's a smooth cat.
Yeah. And I even think it was bad and it cost him 7 points and it could have cost him the game. The drop in the end zone against the Chargers the other day, but I maintain immediately, and if you go back and watch it, to me it was less a drop, and more I'm not a receiver technician. It was a mistake in another part of how to receive. He started going to the ground. I think he expected on the goal line that throw to come in low because a defender might be over your shoulder. He started going to the ground, and then Jimmy threw it chest high, and it became a very difficult catch. So I'm not saying it wasn't Brandon's mistake, but to me it was a little different than your normal drop, kind of lack of concentration or bad hands or whatever drop.
How about the route? It was nasty.
The route was so nasty. That's part of what made it killer, is that he dusted the guy.
He Instagrammed it. He Instagrammed it that night after the game.
What'd he say? The route?
Just did like puke emojis. That he dropped it.
Yeah. I think if you watch it, he is going down expecting to catch it low, and then the ball's not low. And to Jimmy's credit, the last few weeks, I think part of the Aiyuk production is like Jimmy's made some good throws to Brandon over the last several weeks.
Agreed.
Aiyuk right now, John, tied with Juju in the NFL, 29 targets, 49 catches, 49 catches, 44 catches. So, like I said, 17 away from a new career high, is 23rd at the NFL. Just as you were thinking about.
He's tied with Juju on the amount of targets for the season?
Yeah.
Like you're just saying, like in the hierarchy of wide receivers, like they have the same amount of targets?
Yeah, Tyreek 1, Diggs, Kupp, Jefferson, Devontae, Lamb, Pittman, Deontay Johnson, DK, Christian Kirk, Waddle,